We are connecting. We have got, hey, we're up to 2 attendees. 3.
There you go.
I don't know if we can handle the crowd.
Me too.
I don't know if a crowd can handle us.
I
Okay.
think they've answered that.
And you may proceed.
Okay. Well, everybody out there, welcome to our Crazy 8 panel. As you probably know, Crazy 8 started in 2010. So what, 10 and a half years ago. Hey, Kevin Dilmore. 10 years ago, I came out of the bathroom and I'd already planted in people's minds the idea that, you know, the industry was changing and retailers were going out of business and publishers were changing, and that we had to respond to it by establishing a direct link to the reader, because between the writer and the reader, that's where the magic happens, right? So so I came out of the bathroom. Bob had spread the word that the time to act is now, and a bunch of guys were waiting there, and we hashed it out, and we came up.
It was the only time we knew your hands would be clean.
Yes, well, Bob, let me tell you something. Surprise, they weren't. But anyway, I digress.
Good timing. No, that's the guy who just showed up.
I digress. Peter David is here with us, folks. Anyway, so we came up with Crazy 8, and since then it's been an interesting but also very a fruitful journey, and you can see Crazy 8 now, ironically, has 10. There's 10 of us, and what we're doing and what we did and what we continue to do is present our most heartfelt and authentic visions, the kinds of stories that we would want to read, the kinds of stories that that we can only tell in you know, as members of Crazy 8. Traditional publishers may not embrace these for various reasons, but we know that these are the best stories we can tell, and we're happy to have an audience out there. So without any further ado, why don't we introduce ourselves? Geoff, you want to start?
Okay, I'm Geoff Thorne. I'm one of the Crazy 8 plus, like +2. I got pulled into this craziness on the Pangea anthologies. It was a blast, and I'm basically here to stay. I'm going to be doing some projects much later in this year. I'm primarily a TV and comics writer, and this is a chance to sort of flex back into this place where I got started, which is in prose. That's me. It's pretty easy.
And we're happy to have you. Hildy, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Hildy. I'm the other of the +2 with Geoff. We joined together. Yay, us. Hey. I've been in a few of the other anthologies, most recently Badass Moms, that our own Mary Fan edited so wonderfully. And now an official member of the Crazy 8 crew, which I'm very proud of and very pleased to be. I write fiction, mostly short stories, although I do have a novella coming out. And I'll be writing much more with these folks. So I'm looking forward to it.
Great. We're happy to have you as well, Hildy. Bob?
Hi. That's all. I'm Bob.
It's Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Normally I have Bob's coffee cup.
Hi, Bob.
But...
Okay, Glenn's playing the age-old game. Very funny. No, I mean, you know, when after the introductions, I've got the first book to talk about, so let's just go through everybody and circle back.
Okay, Paul Kupperberg.
Hello, I'm Paul Kupperberg. I'm a writer of many things, comic books and prose. My most recent work here at from Crazy 8. Actually, I was number 7 when there was only 7 of Crazy 8, I was number 7. Just came out with my latest book, JSA Ragnarok, based on the DC Comics characters of the same name and persuasion. And that's it.
And you're also the man who killed Archie. If I'm not
I
mistaken.
did kill Archie. I also killed Vigilante. I killed Aqua Baby. I killed many characters.
Oh my God, that was
I'm
you.
kind of a comic,
Yeah,
I'm
that
kind of a
was him.
comic book serial killer.
Oh my
You
God.
look so kind and innocent.
All right, Aaron Rosenberg.
Whoops, I opened my big mouth. Hi, I'm Aaron. I think probably everybody here knows me already. So I write novels, children's books, role-playing games, whatever people will pay me for.
Russ Colchamiro in the ever-expanding basement office. Wait, you're muted.
Russ.
You're muted.
You're still muted, Russ.
There we go. All right. How you doing, guys? Good to see you, or you guys to see me, I guess. I think most of you guys already know me. I've been with Crazy 8 Press for, I joined about a year or two after Crazy 8 formed. Been along with the inside the asylum ever since. I write predominantly science fiction and sci-fi fantasy, although I've been writing a lot more mystery and crime over the last several years, including a blend of sci-fi mystery, including, you can see back here, Cracklin Fire, which came out last year. It's my first novel featuring Angela Hardwick, who's an intergalactic private eye. She's also appeared in various short stories that we've put out in the anthologies. I know Bob's going to be talking about the next one, but I got a short story with her coming out whenever the new book comes out, and the second book in the series, and their standalone adventures will be coming out in September.
Okay, great. Thank you, Russ. And Mary Fan.
Hi, I'm Mary. I, like everybody else, write sci-fi and fantasy. I mostly do novels and short stories. Most of my work is for teen and young adults. And I joined back in, I just remembered it was just in time to kill Glenn. So that would have been like, what, 17?
You know, it's always a good time to kill Glenn.
It was a popular thing at the time.
I have killed Glenn too.
Wow.
I also killed Glenn.
Mary. So, good. So, and I love your hat, as I love Russ's hat as well. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say at this time?
Check out the anthology I edited. It came out last summer. It was supposed to be out for shore leave, and it would have been at this Farpoint where we in person. Badass Moms. It's up on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc.
You know, one thing we should say is that when we see you next, we will have a host of new titles for you at the Crazy 8 table. So be ready. Glenn Hauman.
Hi, I'm the aforementioned victim who keeps
Get
getting
him! Get him!
killed over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Don't worry, I have my revenge plan for you all. I know your secrets. I know what to do with all these folks. I know it's coming. But first, we have to let Bob sit down. Well, no. First, we have to let's see who's next on the list. Who hasn't spoken up? Oh, those two in the corner.
Okay, those two in the corner. Peter David.
The
What
man
up?
who killed me.
No, are you muted, Peter?
No, I'm just screwing around.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
No, that's just not.
Nice.
Yeah, I have to do something to amuse myself because I was falling asleep during the other introductions. I'm Peter David. I write stuff. I've had over 100 novels published and over 1,000 comic books. I'm a New York Times bestseller. I'm going to have that carved on my tombstone. And otherwise, that's pretty much me.
Okay, Kathleen, would you like to say hello to the people?
Hello, people.
All right.
I'm Kathleen O'Shea David. I'm married to Peter David. It'll be 20 years this May. I have done various short stories for various anthologies for various editors on your screen right now, and look forward to doing more.
All right. And I'm Mike Friedman. Many of you know me, and I hope to see you for real, face to face soon. So Bob, would you like to tell us about what we have in store here at Crazy 8?
As soon as the host allows me to share the screen, I've got some slides.
What do I have to do to?
It says host is disabled, so maybe Tech Martin can help us.
Oh, is he? Oh, Tech Martin, you're
Yeah,
here?
I'm here. Let me find that setting.
It's an interesting name, Tech.
It's inherited.
Your parents knew what was up. They gave you a grand destiny.
While we're waiting for the setting, let me stress that Mike is right that we've had a number of books out since we last saw you at Farpoint last year, or even shore leave last summer, and the 2021 schedule is actually fairly packed. There's barely a month without anything penciled in for release.
Okay, Bob, give it a try.
Okay, here we go. Okay, and slideshow.
Ooh, push that text.
Okay, so this book was supposed to be out at this convention, and unfortunately, it was delayed because one of the writers was also delayed. But it's 27 stories, 337 pages according to my book designer. It has got something for everyone in all the genres that the pulp were known for from the golden age of publishing. So we got science fiction, sword and sorcery, fantasy, Western, romance, graphic stories. Here are writers, some of whom are actually in attendance this afternoon, so hi writers. So as you can see, it's a robust list of men and women, some making their Crazy 8 debut, others are returnees. I also have a number of good artists. As you can see, some very familiar comic book names here.
Carl
And
Kessel.
I think it's actually will help make the second volume look even better than the first. So here are some of the other graphics from 3 different of our artists. So we just put the pre-order page up yesterday for the Kindle edition. The print edition will also be out in March. Right now, we're waiting on the final galleys so that we can get them to the authors to proofread. And then we'll get the book out as quickly as humanly possible at that point, and hopefully everyone will enjoy it.
I'm getting it.
Okay. Also in March is the second volume of the Subterranean Blue Grotto Guide to Batman 66. We published the first volume last year, and when Jim Beard realized he had the wealth of the Crazy 8 gang to contribute, he invited, I think, everybody to pen an essay, and I think most of everyone is participating in volume 2, which is also going to be illustrated, as you can see here. How many of you guys are actually in this book?
I am.
Yo, I am.
Yo.
It might be easier to say who's not in this volume.
Me.
And my piece is on a Catwoman episodes, and it includes work from an interview with Julie Newmar. So yeah.
Mine is about the most highly rated single episodes of the series history. The one that featured Liberace.
Oh.
No, it makes sense because the series main audience was boys 8 to 10 until Liberace showed up, and suddenly tons of middle-aged women tuned in. So naturally, that will cause the ratings to go through the roof.
Yes, because clearly.
Gotta love Shondell. Okay. We don't have anything for April yet, but who knows? But May, Paul?
Is Emma's Landing, which is a young adult fantasy adventure story about a young girl who is moves out into the wilds of the Florida Everglades and finds herself in a kind of time-space anomaly where just about anything can happen.
Very cool. And hopefully we'll have a cover reveal sometime shortly.
I would think so, as soon as I get somebody to do a cover.
Always good to have an artist, otherwise the cover looks really boring.
Yeah, I was thinking,
Mike.
It'll be something
Yes,
new.
sir.
What's going on in June that's super heroic here?
Well, we're gonna have our own Crazy 8 superhero anthology, Crazy 8 and Friends. It's gonna we're gonna kickstart it probably in May, and it won't be coming in June.
I thought you were kickstarting in June. That's why I put the slide in.
Oh, okay, kickstarting in June. Done. All right. Never argue with Bob. He knows more than I do. Let me tell you that. We're gonna kickstart our superhero anthology, which is going to be we're all contributing to it, and as I say, some other writers as well. And I can tell you that in fact, I was talking to Glenn about his character just a couple hours ago. There is an amazing diversity of characters here, many of whom you've never seen anything like. Believe me, it seems unlikely that after 85 years of comic book superheroes that we can actually come up with something nobody's come up with, but we do. And this is going to be very much a shared world. So you're going to see these characters cooperating and clashing, and living in this same reality, and it's going to be exciting. So this is our shared world. I know there are other superhero shared worlds, but this is ours, and we mean it to be the kind of anthology that will come out year after year. There's no natural ending to it. It's going to be ongoing. So we're very excited about it.
Glenn.
All right, I got rather ticked off after being killed over and over and over and over again. So I'm actually going to, my revenge on this is I'm actually telling people the truth. When people I'm revealing the hidden story. When people say, where do you get your ideas? And the usual answer is a post office box in Schenectady. It's not true. Everybody here has been using what we refer to as the crazy 8-ball. Where basically we take the thing, we shake it up and down and say, please help me. Should this person turn left or right? Ask again later. Or help, I need a plot to come up with this story or anything else like that. So what we'll be doing this year is I'm taking possession of the ball, and that we will be assigning such stories to writers as they come out of the crazy 8-ball. And
what is this called?
Oh.
Random Acts of Literature, or is what our current is what the current title is. On the other hand, the ball may speak to me and suggest an even stranger title. We'll see.
Oh dear God.
What's the matter, Geoff? You suddenly seem very panicked.
Oh, no, this is my excited, enthusiastic, please shoot me into space, strapped to a rocket face. This is what I wear when the scientists come and wake me up and strap me in.
Just wait.
Against my
Geoff
will.
can't wait until he gets the ballet dancer who is also a bowling champion.
Oh yeah,
that's
In space.
Who
boy,
doesn't
boy
know?
howdy.
But if they're a ballet dancer, at least they have the balance for bowling.
Right.
Yes.
But if there's
It's true.
and meanwhile they have to solve the murder at the sorority. Yes, exactly.
Oh dear God.
You understand exactly where this is going. I'm looking forward to this story, Geoff. I mean, it's either that or we assign it to Dayton Ward, and God only knows what he's going to come up with.
This is literally me hating all of you right now. This is a picture of me.
Jeff, now you know why we killed it.
Get it? I wish I'd been in on that. He'd be dead for real. Like, oh my God.
Russ.
So as I mentioned earlier, so last year I put out Cracklin Fire with Angela Hardwick, and just to kind of give you a little bit more of an idea of who she is, think of her as sort of part Doctor Who, part Blade Runner, and part Philip Marlowe. So you've got this sort of, intergalactic sort of, adventure and lunacy, dealing with some, emerging tech and sort of a hard-boiled detective. The first book, Cracklin Fire, kind of sets the stage for this world. And in that story, in this novel, the one that just came out a few months ago, so Hardwick is hired to find a missing intern with stolen corporate files, but she soon finds herself dealing with dueling gangsters, angry protesters, and a madman from Earth who has sort of galactic ambitions of his own. So I like to mix the street level grit and sort of the cosmic machinations that can go on with sort of a Doctor Who style story. And I also want to call attention in this book, Cracklin Fire, and at the end of the book, I added a bonus short story called the Case of Jarlow's Buried Treasure. It's actually an AI themed whodunit that's set at the end, which I'm particularly happy about. So if you wind up picking it up, just take a look for it at the end. As I said, I've got another Hardwick short coming up in Thrilling Adventure Yarns 2, which should be out in a couple of weeks. And then in September, I'm launching the next novel for Hardwick, which I have not announced the title. I don't want to get too much into the details because I'm still in the final stages of editing it now, but I can assure you it will be out in September.
Okay. Bob, could I just say, if you guys want to chat, please make sure that you set your chat for everybody, not just the panelists. And also we have a Q&A queue. So if you want to pop a question in there for later, feel free to do that as well. Back to you, Bob.
Actually, back to Aaron.
To Aaron. So October has become the month of the Phoenix. I released For This Is Hell 3 years ago now, which is the first story about Christopher Marlowe, who is also the immortal Phoenix. He's the avatar of humanity's creativity. And each story since then has moved to a different era, with the Phoenix continuing on and attempting to influence humanity's choices. So the cover you're seeing is Death and Silence, which is the noir story, which came out this past October. This coming October will be the fourth and final Phoenix story, at which point I will also collect all 4 of them into a single volume, The Time of the Phoenix.
Very cool. And then the last slide is Mary, who can pimp the newsletter.
Hi. So yeah, I've been running our Crazy 8 newsletter. Trying to make it monthly, although it kind of depends on what we have coming out. Sometimes we have a lot, sometimes a little quieter. But yeah, please subscribe. You can do so on our website. I'm just gonna drop the URL in case anyone doesn't know. But yeah, I promise it's nothing like I only email you guys like once every 1 or 2 months. It's not like I'm gonna be emailing you every day and spamming your inboxes. And in there, we always have our latest announcements, book releases, Kickstarters, etc. There you see a little promo for Thrilling Adventure Yarns, where we sort of debuted the first few pages of Aaron's story as an exclusive sneak peek. And we have a few more surprises up our sleeves. So yeah, subscribe.
All right, Mike, back to you.
All right, cool. So we, Hildy, is there anything you would, let me put you on the spot. Is there anything you would like to talk about in terms of upcoming ideas, upcoming projects?
With Crazy 8, not just yet. I'm looking forward to your Bit Bam Pow world, being part of that. And I'm noodling up some ideas for a Crazy 8 release.
Okay, good. Peter, we haven't heard from you in the last several minutes. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, there is. Being stuck at home and feeling very isolated and only being able to communicate people with this kind of thing has, for some reason, put me in mind of the Canterbury Tales, which prompted me to come up with the notion of doing something no one has done, which is a modern day version of the Canterbury Tales. I have not come up with a good title for it yet. But I'm going to combine that with something that happened at Farpoint 18 years ago, when the hotel got completely snowed in and everybody got stuck together.
Thanks.
I mean, people.
Wait, whoa! What do you mean stuck together?
We couldn't leave the hotel.
Oh, okay.
People brought me snow shovels that were used to autograph for that, and anyone who was there remembers what that was like. I mean, Aaron Gray was leading aerobics classes in the lobby. Armin Shirman was conducting acting classes. We're doing what we could to keep busy. And I thought I would come up with a notion where a group of fans who have gone to a cosplaying convention get snowed in, and they're all stuck together there at the hotel. And they all start trading stories of their characters' adventures, which means that we can do Canterbury Tales, except have it be even broader than the original one was, because we're not limited to the people of the here and now. We can have a ninja trading tales of his life with Dungeons and Dragons players, with magicians, with goths, with soldiers, with pretty much anyone who is RPGing, from Star Trek, essentially, except we can't call them Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever people we want. And everyone will be challenged to come up with a story that stems from whatever it is they're cosplaying, vampires, werewolves, whatever they are. And I think that this can be a lot of fun because it's pretty much every genre that exists, people can take advantage of. There are pretty much no limits. So we can do one story that is a horror followed by someone who's basically James Bond. So everyone who is here seems to be interested in participating. Plus, once I start putting feelers out, perhaps we can gather writers outside of Crazy 8 as well who will want to participate. I have absolutely no idea when the book will come out or what it will be titled, but that's the next project that I'm working on for Crazy 8.
Why don't you put it together with Glenn's Crazy 8 Ball? And no, never mind.
No, I will not be doing that.
Are you really trying to get Jeff? Are you trying to get Jeff's head to explode? I mean, really?
No, that sounds fun. That sounds
There you
great.
go.
Are you kidding me? That sounds freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I will either write or be in the audience or both of that book.
Okay.
That
Now-
is freaking awesome.
Now, Peter, do we have to write this in iambic pentameter like Chelsea did?
If you are so inclined, yes.
And I'm out.
No, I'm giving you the option. You can write it in iambic pentameter. You can write it in limericks for all I care.
Ooh, limericks.
long
Now
as
there's an idea.
I mean, I'm kind of
How do
assuming
you
that people
cosplay
will
a
be
man
writing
from
it.
Nantucket?
I'm kind of assuming that people are going to write it in prose. But on the other hand, if you're cosplaying Shakespeare,
Oh,
yeah,
dear
fine,
God.
write it in Shakespearean English. I don't care if you write it as a poem and it all rhymes.
I'm anticipating a surfeit of cod pieces.
That is entirely possible.
Wasn't that the name of your last album, Mike?
Yes, a surfeit of cod pieces. It was, it was.
I think this may be the first time I've ever heard the word surfeit used in common conversation.
Well, it's
I've
crazy.
seen it in books. I've never heard anybody actually say it.
There's nothing common about this conversation, Peter.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, while we're on the subject of upcoming projects, this is Aslan the Mashla Kalua Mysteries. This came out about 10 years ago. And over those 10 years, people keep coming up to me at conventions and saying, when are you going to do another Mashla Kalua story? And I did one short story in one of my short story collections. But I've been thinking about doing another novel, and just a few months ago, I kickstarted it, and so there will be another Aslan novel, and that will be out later in the year, around September, that's something that I know I'm going to have fun with, because this is about an 21st century Aztec Empire murder mystery. When I pitched this idea to an editor at one of the science fiction publishing companies, probably at least 10 years ago, she said, "I love this idea. It's a great idea. I want to read this story. I can't buy this story, because can you imagine trying to sell this to a buyer in a bookstore chain? You know, so it's a 21st century Aztec Empire noir murder mystery. You know, his head.
Another one?
Wait, yeah, right. What, another one
Dude,
of those? You know, where do I put this in the store? So
Pastiche artist, what's wrong with you?
so this is one of the reasons that we formed Crazy Eight, so that we could take these visions that traditional publishers can't take a chance on, particularly, you know, as time goes on and they take fewer chances.
The winter buried tales.
The what? The winter
buried tales.
Oh, okay.
That's funny. That's very funny.
Yeah, well, it sounds enough like Canterbury Tales. I'm sorry, Mike. It just came to me.
No, that's okay. I was just telling a story.
The winter buried tales. I'm sorry. Go back to your story.
So anyway, well, get ready, Peter, because I'm going to ask you to talk about it as well in a second. So anyway,
I wasn't paying attention to what you were talking about. I'm sorry.
No, neither was I. It's okay. So anyway, so we, you know, this is what we do here at Crazy Eight. We take the stories we really want to tell, and we don't need an audience, you know, like a traditional publisher would. We as long as we can connect with the audience that we have, we're in good shape. For instance, some years ago, one of our writers here at Crazy Eight pitched a vampire story to a traditional publisher. Peter, you want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah. The book was called Pulling Up Stakes, which Crazy Eight eventually published. And my agent sent it around to various publishers. And the reasons that they gave for passing on it were insane. One person said that it was too humorous. Another person said it was not humorous enough. Another one said that vampire novels could only be written by female writers, which I'm sure would come as a great surprise to everyone from Joss Whedon to, Bram Stoker. So it was a very, very, very odd attitude for the editors to have. I mean, I really couldn't quite figure it out. And their reactions were pretty much what prompted me to conclude that when Mike proposed Crazy Eight, I said I wanted in on this. And Pulling Up Stakes was like the second novel of mine that we put out.
Yeah. So this is where we can tell the stories we really want to tell, and where you can get the stories that we want to tell, and they're not for everybody. You know, it's the, I would say, the more refined palate is going to be interested in what we have to do here. Not
Those
so
are
much
like
everybody.
the offbeat, the bizarre, the peculiar, why do I sound like I'm hosting that gourmet club where you cannibalism, you know?
Serve no book before it's time.
Connoisseurs.
So
Readers.
Well, Mike,
yeah, go ahead, Bob.
to build on what you said, by the end of 2021, we should have about 75 releases, and it spans nonfiction to, you know, high fantasy to silly stuff, hard science fiction. You know, there really is something for everyone.
Mystery,
What, Paul?
traditional murder mystery.
Yes.
Good old-fashioned
Yeah.
murder mysteries. And historical.
Oh, altered states, of course.
Yes, altered states. We do all sorts of weird stuff. We have fun.
And the fact that we're still coming up with ideas, you know, as a group, such as Mike's Shared Universe or Peter's Winterberry Tales.
And Glenn's Crazy 8-Ball, don't forget that.
Let's keep Glenn's balls to himself.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Come on, I'm
Thank
ready
you.
to share the
Thank you. Wow. Should I even make the low-hanging fruit joke, or is it automatically just
No.
in the room?
I
think
believe
it just
low-hanging
is.
fruit is the joke. That's kind of the
Yeah.
comment there that gets made. They already hang pretty low, thank you very much. And we'll just
I've got to go.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, Peter,
Hi-yo.
I told you we'd be doing cod pieces before you knew it.
Oh my God.
So there once was a furry named Dave who danced on his enemy's grave. What?
No, we're
He's
just
reading
going on?
stuff
What's
from
the-
the comments.
we're
I
just
do
messing
have
around.
I do have a poetic meter joke, a poetic meter limerick if you want to hear it. It's there was a young man named McNamater with a tool of prodigious diameter,
Oh, good Lord.
but it wasn't his size gave the girls a surprise. 'Twas his rhythm.
Iambic pentameter.
Right.
Yeah, that's where that
Oh,
comes.
God help me.
Get out.
Go to your room, Friedman.
Go stand in the corner.
Think
Can you
about
do
what
better,
you've
Mary?
done today.
Isaac Asimov just puked.
Think about yourself and what you've done today, sir.
Shame.
History's
Shame.
greatest monster.
Shame, shame.
Shame. Where's the bell?
You know, Paul, it makes me want to find out who's got the rights to the sensuous, dirty old man.
Yes. It's about time. That
So-
was due for a week.
Does anyone have a question? Anyone in the audience have a question for?
Says, before your star burned bright, we have awaited a question.
Wow.
No,
Next
let's see. It says, question, no.
Have a question?
Questions.
It's a
Yes, so we
call
can
for
Scroll
questions,
back through
But
quickly.
there are no questions. The only question we have here is, would anybody give us a question?
We're enjoying the banter.
The bank.
Hauman kills the crazy.
You know, I do have
Well,
other
there's a
limericks.
thought.
I do. I'm not gonna. I'm only
You're
gonna.
not shy.
If I have to.
Do you have a math limerick this time, maybe?
Oh, sure, that's easy. If inside a circle, a line hits the center and runs spine to spine, and the line's length is D, the circumference will be D times 3.14159.
Oh my, wow.
Fine.
That works.
Wow.
I almost want to
Peak
start a book
highbrow
with that one.
entertainment. Very good.
Pie for Glenn.
That's going to be an opening quote in one of my books now. That's the shit. Holy crap.
Finally, now we know what Jeff's
Okay,
writing.
wait a second. We have a question. The question is, it's a question. It could be for Peter, but I think anybody could really answer it. The question
Good.
is there a sequel to Pulling Up Stakes? Aaron?
No.
No. Okay, Russ?
Oh, hell no.
Hell no. Okay, Mary?
Sure, why not?
Okay, all right, good. Is there another question?
Not yet.
The future is uncertain.
I get asked that.
Ask again later. Oh, wait.
No.
Reply.
I get asked that quite frequently. I'm probably the same person who keeps asking it though. I don't have any plans at this point. I've got ideas rattling around in the back of my head, but I would probably have to go back and reread the book to refresh my memory. I mean, I don't remember the stuff that I read. That's the way that happens. I'm currently rereading my work on the Hulk from 20, 30 years ago, and I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't remember writing any of it.
I saw your reviews on that stuff. You didn't like it, did you?
On what?
Your writing on the Hulk.
Okay, be careful.
I wasn't blown away by it. I was still learning how to write. I mean, for some reason, I'm trying to remember why. I did a dramatic reading years ago of Hulk 340, the one with where Wolverine shows up, and I hated it as I was reading it because the writing to me seemed so amateurish. But that's what you should really do as a writer. You should always be You should always be changing. I mean, when I rewrote Nightlife for Berkeley Books, the original edition came out in the 1980s. When I worked out a deal with Berkeley to re-release it, I said that I was going to go back and bring the novel up to date. And I was appalled by how amateurish the original was. And I did massive rewrites. I mean, the original manuscript was 65,000 words. The final revised manuscript was 85,000 words. I came up with additional storylines, changed what was there, massively rewrote it. I mean, I can't even stand to look at the original edition. As a writer, you should always be trying to evolve. That's why I remember years ago when I read an interview in Comic Scene, a magazine that Bob Greenberger used to edit, in which John Byrne was interviewed. And John said, if I never become a better artist than I am right now, I will be satisfied with that. And I read that and I said, I have just read an interview with someone who is going to eternally be in a creative spin cycle. You should always be trying to evolve your writer and become your writing and become better than you are. If you're not doing that, then you're not doing it right.
Oh yeah, if you don't look back at the stuff you wrote 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago and wince every once in a while and go, oh God, I shouldn't, you're just not improving.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter, what do you think about Future Imperfect? I mean, I read that years before.
Future
I knew you.
Imperfect is one of the very few works of mine that I can still read and take pleasure in.
I think it's. I read it years before I knew you, and I absolutely loved it. It's great.
Yeah, well, when you're working with George Perez, that's going to help you elevate your game. I read, to this day, I can look through Future Imperfect and enjoy it immensely. But it's one of the few comic book works of mine that I can look at and go, yeah, okay, I got this one right first crack out of the box. Most of my work on Fallen Angel, I'm very satisfied with. Atlantis Chronicles, which I wrote for Bob Greenberger at DC, I'm still pleased with to this day.
Me too.
Most of the other stuff I could forget.
We have a question from our friend Lorraine, and she asks if we're planning on doing anything relating to or inspired by the pandemic.
No.
Nope.
Not currently.
Well, the Winter Buried Tales is basically inspired by the pandemic, so yeah.
That's true, right. I think I'm doing at least one story that I probably wouldn't have done if not for not just the pandemic, but the other prevailing conditions these days. But
although I will say this. So the short story that I included in my Hardwick novel, while it has absolutely nothing to do with the pandemic, I wrote it at the time when we just kind of first got started into it. And I remember feeling real, that real tense unease, and that angst that I had went into the pages, and I felt like that energy translated on the page very well, even though it has nothing to do with the pandemic whatsoever. But it really kind of came out of that sense of just, of isolation and dread, and just, we didn't know what we were really getting ourselves into. So I will say that it was psychologically and emotionally, it was sort of inspired by that, but not content-wise.
Right. Well, that's interesting. One of my concerns in terms of writing anything that's, that takes place during the pandemic is that at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, it'll be dated.
I think that could be the best thing that could happen to it, Mike.
Yes, please make it historical fiction.
Yes, exactly. Let us get past this entire thing and go.
Oh,
on.
yeah. Not for the purposes of the story, but for the purposes of society. But
it's a documentation of the moment. I mean, I was, it just reminded me of Pete Hamill's novel Forever. He finished writing it on the eve of September 11th. And after that happened, he had to rewrite, he had to tear down the book and rewrite it to reflect what happened. And, that's certainly, I think this is certainly as large a cultural impact on us as 9/11. I think at some point, once I can't process it in a way to work it into my stories yet. I haven't figured that out.
It's funny because
But
this,
it needs to be there eventually because we've all gone through this and we're gonna have to document it somehow.
I mean, in the sense of historical context, it's no different than writing a story that involves VHS tapes. You know,
Yeah.
it is something that occurs, and therefore looking back on it, yes, it will set the story in a specific time period, but that's a time period that exists. So if you're setting it in the real world, like Paul said, you're going to have to factor that in at some point. Like, 'cause we
I
don't-
I came up with an entire Star Trek novel that was inspired by the pandemic. It hasn't seen print. The concept was that the Enterprise goes to this world and this disease is sweeping the world, and it winds up getting onto the Enterprise. And slowly the Enterprise doctors come to the realization that this is not simply a disease, it's not an illness, it's actually an alien race. And the way that it survives is by, living inside of hosts. And now they're not sure what to do, because if they wind up getting rid of this disease, they are essentially committing genocide. They're getting rid of an entire alien race, and it can't be much worse than it can't be a greater violation of the Prime Directive than that. And I thought that could be a really potentially interesting book. And so did the editor at Simon & Schuster when I pitched it, and he said he was going to get right back to me about that, and that was 7 months ago. So
Well,
I have no idea what's going to happen with that story.
Yeah, right. That's almost right back.
I find it kind of weird because I was the first. I happened to be the first person out of the gate, just because of historical timing, to do new Star Trek fiction post 9/11. I was the first one who had a story coming out after 9/11. This was back for the Star Trek ebook line, Corps of Engineers. And it's funny now looking back on that particular story, because now it's not the 9/11 part that people seem to wince about in that story. It's the fact that it's dealing with a planet-wide pandemic on that story. So it's like, I can't win. This is, it's really kind of weird to sit down and look at all this stuff and go, yeah, and how disturbingly close I got on some of this. And part of that was because I was speaking with a guy who's now currently the head of infectious disease research at Beaumont Health in Michigan, which is the biggest healthcare provider in Michigan. And he helped me come up with the type of virus that I needed for the story idea. And so when I first heard about what COVID was coming and going, wow, this is disturbingly close to what I had written with this sort of stuff. Oh, this is,
So we have you to blame for this.
Yeah. Kill me. It's got.
Yeah, we haven't tried that.
Yeah, I know.
And so many
But
others.
doing it is just so much fun.
It is, right? So are there any other questions for our esteemed panelists or these guys? Either one.
Well, these guys.
They didn't show
Thanks a
up. You're
lot.
stuck with us.
So when the panel is over, everyone, we are going to be hanging out in Salon B. If you guys want to, we've got a 30-minute window if you want to chat with us at the Gathertown site, which looks remarkably like Don Valley Inn.
It's really scary.
Does it really? Have you?
No,
been?
you should visit. It's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a unique experience. It's also very strange to sit down and look at this and go, wow, they really did build this out to make this feel like.
Do we have any idea if Shore League's going to be happening, or is that going to be virtual as well?
Last I heard, they are planning both versions and waiting to see how people, what the vaccination rates are.
Has anyone? I've actually gotten one of the shots.
Good for you.
Oh, wow.
That's
great.
Well, I'm a
Mazel tov.
teacher. I'm a teacher, and there was a site here that prioritized teachers, so I got the first one.
Yeah,
Well,
Maryland,
I'm
I also
diabetic
got-
and overweight, so now I'm qualified. I just can't get any appointments.
Oh,
That was
wow.
as of Tuesday, right?
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, I've
As
got
of
one
Monday, yeah.
scheduled.
Everything is, we have no appointments. We have no appointments.
Yeah. The good news.
Well,
The good news is you qualify for the shot.
Yeah.
The bad news is,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
never thought
Thursday I
I'd be
get my
happy about
second
being
shot,
overweight and
then-
diabetic.
it's getting there slowly but surely. I mean, it's such a huge numbers question that you sit down and just go, just, it's the same thing when you sit down and go, how many of these do you have to sit down and produce? And I think the numbers were, I think they're trying to get the number of doses created, and I think it was going to take 110 days, and they're trying to get it down to 60 days or something, and then, I mean, just manufacturing time alone is gigantic. So,
By the way, Inga, who runs.
Yeah, I
Short
saw that.
says that's correct. The information we gave was correct. They're planning both versions of Shore Leave, and they'll track what's going on in Maryland and nationally regarding infections and vaccinations and make a decision. But I guess they'll be planning for both eventualities.
So as of 5 o'clock last night, according to the Washington Post, 5.4% of the United States is fully vaccinated and 12.9% has had one shot. So we got a ways to go before we're in public again.
Did that include mine?
That's the 0.4.
I was just wondering. Okay. So let's see. Aaron, thanks, Inga. And Paul Bolze registered, but he says it probably won't be till May or June for his demographic. Yeah. We live in crazy times. I wish that it were at least more organized. You can sit on these sites for hours and hours and hours and never get anything. If they could at least get past that, if they could say, all right, here's your window, you'll definitely get it, but you need not worry about it till then because you're not going to get it until then. If they could at least do that, it would help.
it would be nice, but by the same token, it's also one of those, they're building all of this stuff on the fly. I mean, you're building everything. It's like, doing an airline assembly while the plane's, heading towards the ground. There's only so much you can do to play catch up and hope that you're getting all this stuff right in the first place. The countries that have done reasonably well with this sort of stuff already had giant healthcare systems in place. So adding on to it was not a huge problem.
Yeah,
Here, on the other hand,
Israel has got it well on the way. They're
right.
They have a massive infrastructure and they're used to emergencies.
Right. But I think one of the things that one of the errors in this entire thing, aside of everybody, every state had to do this the way they had to do it, and the order in which people are getting shots makes some sense and all the rest. But I think we'd be a lot less frustrated if we did have, as Mike said, or somebody said, I think it was Mike, if they basically queued us up and said, okay, in April, you may check in for your vaccine, to kind of give a month and sort it out that way.
Right. Okay. So we have a little more than a minute if we want it. Is there anything anybody would like to say before we bid a fond adieu to our audience?
I'm surprised.
Everybody buy my autobiography. It was published
it is awesome.
It was published by McFarland Press. It's called Mr. Zulu Grabbed My Ass and Other Stories of My Life.
It's really good.
Yeah.
A general reminder for everybody that if you do like our books and you do buy our books and you do read our books, please review our books because we die on reviews. So it's super, super helpful and we really appreciate it.
Right.
The algorithm. Feed the algorithm.
Great.
I can tell people about the day job. We're currently working on a remastered edition of John Sable Freelance, which will be an absolute mastered edition oversize. Yes, Jeff?
Oh, Glenn and I have been talking about some comic book
Winterman project stuff.
bringing in some Winterman comics in tandem with Crazy 8, which is really sort of lighting my fire and made me rethink something I was going to do anyway. But now I'm thinking
Now you have
much better.
Yes, now you
Well,
have capacity to do X, Y, and Z. Yes, so
Yeah, so that should be something for much later in the year, towards the summer. But most of the elements are already in place. It's really a matter of delivery, I guess. Mode of delivery is basically the conversation. So you guys can look for that from Crazy 8. It's going to be wacky. I promise you. I promise wackiness.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
And of course, we can also talk about and Jeff's comic book stuff on the other side. Of course, him currently doing Green Lantern and Future State for those happy folks over there.
If the fans of Hal Jordan don't find me and kill me.
Oh, come on, Look,
No, I'm good with it.
You slipped Legion stuff in there. You got
sold off Green Lantern yet?
Huh?
Well, hasn't DC sold off Green Lantern to the fans yet? That's.
I mean,
I thought.
One ring at a time, Paul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got a lot of lanterns to get through if they're going to sell all of the Green
Yeah, right now they're starting with Chip, and they're working with their way on.
Chip's got a whole Warner. Yeah.
So we're
anyway.
We're about done. We just want to say thank you for coming. I see some of those who attended are thanking us, but we really have to thank you. And we really look forward to seeing you in person. This is great, and we're glad you came. But we really want to.
We miss you folks
and give you guys hugs. So thanks for coming.
Hope to see some of you at Gathertown.
Right, and right. So we'll see you.
In a few minutes, and the next room over.
The after party. Okay. Great, guys. Thanks for everything
folks.
you do, and we'll see you all later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.
folks.
Bye, all.
Hey, guys.
Have fun.
All right, bye now.
There.
Okay, so I believe we're still accessible. So,
Yes, we're still hot mic'd.
right.
So we can't tell that particular story.
No, but maybe I'll run another limerick.
Oh, no, I gotta go. I hear the baby crying.
I actually do have to run, but this was delightful. Actually, this is my first Farpoint. Like I never been able to make it. So COVID has actually allowed me to do a great many things that I would have never been able to do.
No, there is that, definitely.
All right, gotta run kids on the stove. You know how it is.
Yeah, this is great. Some of these things I can't wait to read, frankly. There's just a lot of stuff to get into.
Yeah, tell me about it. We've been publishing for 10 years. I haven't read everything we've done yet.
Yeah, so I'm all over this.
I think the only person the person who probably came closest is Aaron, just because he's typeset most,
Yeah.
Right.
Poor bastard.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to do it, I guess. And I drew the short stuff.
Pardon?
So how do we get over into this other thing? So it's still recording.
Get into that.
There's a login. There's login
Okay, I'm going to log out of here so I can talk to people in the Gathertown.
Okay. I'm
Hey,
gonna
bye, guys.
See you all.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
Glenn, I'm still working on assembly, but you'll get that in the next couple of weeks.
Fantastic. I'm still, like I said, I'm currently in the middle of doing all this Sable stuff, and then after that, I got to work on Whisper after that. So that's going to be keeping me busy.
Okay, no worries.
New
Talk to you
Whisper,
later.
which is going to be even more fun. So anyway, have fun. Talk to you soon.
Later,
Bye.
guys.
All right. So out, damn spot. Here we go. There we are.
The dance button is the Z key. Okay, closing you out, guys. I'll see you in Gathertown.